What if I told you every single breath you take is secretly talking to your brain? And most of us have been doing it wrong for our entire lives. Not wrong like bad posture, wrong like rewiring your nervous system to chronic disease, metabolic dysfunction, and a brain stuck in a survival mode. Here's what's wild. Over 5,000 years ago, Indian yogis developed a system of breath control called pranayama with no MRI machines, no labs, no peer-reviewed journals. And yet, modern neuroscience is now proving, technique by technique, that these ancient practitioners were essentially programming the autonomic nervous system by hand. In this video, I'm going to show you the actual neuroscience of three pranayama techniques, what they do to your carbon dioxide tolerance, your vagal tone, your insulin sensitivity, and your default mode network. And at the end, I'll give you a dead simple 8-minute daily protocol backed by clinical research. Stay with me because what you're about to learn will completely change the way you think about something you do 20,000 times daily. Hey there, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Devi Sundar, an integrative mind-body consultant. And in my channel, I break the science behind breath, mental health, neuroscience, and Ayurveda. Before we go any further, this is an education content. If you have a respiratory condition, cardiovascular issue, or if you're pregnant, before attempting any of the breathing protocol spoken here, please do consult your physician. For the rest of us, research is clear, the techniques are free, and results are measurable. Let's dive in. So let me start with a number that average person doesn't know. The average person breathes about 15 to 20 times per minute. The optimal rate for nervous system coherence and metabolic efficiency, according to the researchers, is just 5 to 6 breaths per minute. That gap between how we breathe and how we should breathe is where anxiety lives. It's where elevated cortisol lives. It's where insulin resistance takes root. Now, I'm going to show you three techniques today, and I need to say this upfront because most people who cover this topic get it completely backwards. The first technique, Kapalpati, will wake you up and get going. The technique 2 and 3, Nadi Shodhana and Brahmari, those are where the real metabolic magic happens. Technique 2 is one where researchers found blood pressure drops within minutes of practice. Technique 3 is one linked to 23% cortisol reduction, that's your chronic stress hormone, in just 30 days. 23% reduction from a technique most people have never heard of. So if you're tempted to skip away or stop halfway, don't. The first technique is the ignition, the last two are the engines. Your breath is only function controlled by both the voluntary and the autonomous nervous system. Think about that. You can hold your breath, right? That's voluntary. But right now you're watching this, you're breathing automatically. That's autonomic. No other system in your body gives you this dual access. This is the backdoor into your nervous system, and pranayama is the key. Now let me talk about the vagus nerve. Running from your brainstem all the way down through your heart, lungs, gut, and immune system is your vagus nerve. That's the longest cranial nerve in your body. 75% of all the parasympathetic fibers, that is the system of rest and digest in your body, run through it. When your vagal tone is high, your heart rate variability goes up, your digestive system works properly, your inflammation response is appropriately calibrated, and your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's responsible for rational thinking, emotional regulation, and impulse control, is staying online all the time. When the vagal tone is low, chronic stress, gut dysbiosis, systemic inflammation, poor glucose control. Sound familiar? A 2017 article in the Journal of Breathe in European Respiratory Society found that slow rhythmic breathing, exactly what pranayama trains, is one of the most powerful known stimulators of vagal tone, more effective in some measures than the cold exposure or meditation alone. Here's something counterintuitive. Most people think oxygen is what we need more, but the real bottleneck is carbon dioxide tolerance. Carbon dioxide doesn't just carry waste, it's a vasodilator. It opens your blood vessels, triggers the Bohr effect, which allows hemoglobin to actually release oxygen into your tissues. If you overbreathe, you blow off more of carbon dioxide out. Your blood vessels then constricts. And paradoxically, your cells get less oxygen. Chronic overbreathing is a silent metabolic villain. And pranayama, especially techniques like Nadi Shodhana and extended exhale breathing, directly retrains your carbon dioxide tolerance over weeks of practice. This is where it gets really interesting for anyone interested in metabolic health, blood sugar, or longevity. Your hypothalamic pituitary adrenaline axis, that is HPA axis, governs your stress hormones cascade, that is cortisol and adrenaline. When this system is chronically activated, it drives insulin resistance. Literally, cortisol signals your liver to dump the glucose into your blood, whether you need it or not. A recent study published in the Journal of Evidence-Based Integrative Medicine have confirmed that yoga practices such as pranayama, asanas, and mudras improve insulin sensitivity, contribute to weight management, mitigate stress levels in type 2 diabetes, and maintain immunometabolic homeostasis. The authors of this article have confirmed the bidirectional activation of inflammatory mediators, IL, which stands for interleukin, that IL-1B, and interleukin 6, IL-6, TNF alpha, tumor necrosis factor, that stands for TNF alpha and C-reactive protein, and stress hormones including epinephrine, catecholamines, and cortisol manifesting in diabetes were reduced and shown an improved glycemic index by practicing pranayama and meditation. Ancient technique, modern biomarkers, the result aligned. All right, now the part you've been waiting for. 3 specific pranayama technique backed by scientific evidence and exactly how to do them. Number 1 is Kapalpati. Kapalpati means skull shining. Once you try it, you'll understand the name. It wakes up your brain like nothing else. The technique involves a rapid, forceful exhale with a sharp abdominal contraction with a passive inhale in between. Think of it like a sharp pump out. Let the air fall back in naturally. 1 to 2 pumps per second. So what's happened physiologically? Each rapid exhale creates a pulse of intra-abdominal pressure that massages the liver, pancreas, and the intestine. It stimulates lymphatic drainage. And because you're generating a brief, controlled hypocapnia, a temporary drop in your carbon dioxide level creates that mild sympathetic activity that increases alertness without spiking your cortisol levels. A 2024 study published in Curious found that 18 minutes of Kapalpati practice divided into 3 sessions of 5 minutes each with a 1-minute break in between significantly improved working memory performance and reaction time, effects attributable to increased prefrontal activation via the non-adrenergic system. An important safety note here is do not practice Kapalpati if you're pregnant or having a high blood pressure, epilepsy, or had any recent abdominal surgery. Start with 30 pumps, rest, 30 pumps, rest, built over weeks. If this is blowing your mind the way it blew mine when I first went into this rabbit road, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel to get this information in front of people who need it. And if you're new here, subscribe. I do deep science content like this every week, okay? Back in. Alright, everything I've described in this video is powerful in isolation, but the compounding effect happens when you sequence them correctly. Here's the 8-minute protocol I've been personally running for the last 6 months based on the research I've covered so far. Step 1, 2 minutes of Kapalpati, morning only. 30 pumps, 30 seconds rest. Repeat 3 times. It activates your prefrontal cortex, wakes up your lymphatic circulation, and primes your metabolism. Step 2, 3 minutes of Nadi Shodhana, 10 rounds, 4-4-8 ratio. Drops you out of the sympathetic overdrive, balances the hemispheric activity, lowers your blood pressure. Step 3, 3 minutes of Brahmari, seated, eyes closed, a Shanmukha Mudra, 5 to 6 long hums, floods your system with nitric oxide, drives that cortisol down, prepares you for the day of presence. You can download this 8-minute protocol for free, the link in the description box below. That's it, 8 minutes. The research suggests that consistent practice for 6 to 8 weeks produces measurable changes in your heart rate variability, cortisol rhythm, and fasting blood sugar, and self-reported cognitive clarity. It's not a supplement, it's not a gadget, it's your breathing. Every day, you're doing it for more than 20,000 times a day. Now, here's the thing that stays with me about all of this research. The people who developed pranayama didn't have the concept of vagus nerve and didn't know about what cortisol was. They didn't have an MRI scanner. And yet, they reverse engineered the same conclusion through thousands of years of somatic experimentation and documented in texts like Atha Yoga Pradipika and Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. That's not a coincidence. That's evidence of something deep. The idea of paying close attention to what your body actually does and refining that attention over generation is a legitimate form of scientific inquiry. We are not far from our ancestors. We have the same nervous system, we have the same metabolic vulnerabilities, we have the same capacity to rewire our biology, breath by breath. Are you ready for the challenge? Try the 8-minute protocol for 2 weeks, keep a journal, measure your resting heart rate in the morning, and come back and tell me in the comments what changed. I'll see you in the next one.